Hello and welcome to the second of several videos covering the 2018 to 2022 Technician Class Amateur Radio Question Pool. Again, my name is Michael Dickerson, KC9PHK, on behalf of the Clay County Area Amateur Radio Club. Welcome, and please continue to follow us as we start to release more of these videos. This video series begins for the technician class July 2018 to 2022. This specific grouping of slides will cover subelement T1C, T1D, and T1E. Let us begin. T1C covers operator licensing, operator classes, sequential and vanity call sign systems, international communications, reciprocal operation, places where the amateur radio service is regulated by the FCC, name and address on FCC license database, license term, renewal, and grace period. Question T1C 01. For which license classes are new licenses currently available from the FCC? A. Novice, Technician, General, Advanced. B. Technician, Technician Plus, General, Advanced. C. Novice, Technician Plus, General, Advanced. D. Technician, General, Amateur, Extra. The correct answer is D. Technician, General, and Amateur Extra. Those are the current licenses you can obtain. T1C 02. Who may select a desired call sign under the vanity call sign rules? A. Only a licensed amateur with a general or amateur extra class license. B. Only a licensed amateur with an amateur extra class license. C. Only a licensed amateur who has been licensed continuously for more than 10 years. Or D. Any licensed amateur. Correct answer is any licensed amateur. T1C 03. What types of international communication is an FCC amateur radio station permitted to make? A. Communications incidental to the purposes of the amateur radio service and remarks of a personal character. B. Communications incidental to conducting business or remarks of a personal nature. C. Only communications incidental to contest exchanges. All other communications are prohibited. Or D. Any communications that would be permitted by an international broadcast station. The correct answer is A. Communications incidental to the purposes of the amateur radio service and remarks of a personal character. T1C 04. When are you allowed to operate your amateur station in a foreign country? A. When the foreign country authorizes it. B. When there is a mutual agreement allowing third-party communications. C. When authorization permits amateur communications in a foreign language. And D. When you are communicating with non-licensed individuals in another country. Correct answer is A. When the foreign country authorizes it. T1C 05. Which of the following is a valid call sign for a technician class amateur radio station? A. K1XXX. B. KA1X. C. W1XX. Or D. All of these choices are correct. The correct answer is A. K1XXX, also known as a 1x3 call sign. 1 letter, 1 number, then 3 letters. T1C 06. From which of the following locations may an FCC licensed amateur station transmit? A. From within any country that belongs to the International Telecommunications Union. B. From within any country that is a member of the United Nations. C. From anywhere within the International Telecommunications Union. ITU regions 2 and 3, or D, from any vessel or craft located in international waters and documented or registered in the United States? Correct answer is D, from any vessel or craft located in international waters and documented or registered in the United States. T1C 07, what may result when correspondence from the FCC is returned as undeliverable because the grantee failed to provide and maintain a correct mailing address with the FCC? A. Fine or imprisonment. B. Revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator license. C. Require the licensee to be re-examined. Or D. A reduction of 1 rank in operator class. Correct answer is B. Revocation of the station license or suspension of the operator's license. So you always want to update your address if you move or your address does change. T1C 08. What is the normal term for an FCC-issued primary station operator amateur radio license grant? A. 5 years. B. Life. C. 10 years. D. 20 years. The correct answer is C. 10 years is the normal granted term for an amateur radio license. T1C 09. What is the grace period following the expiration of an amateur license within which the license may be renewed? A. 2 years. B. 3 years. C. 5 years. Or D. 10 years. The correct answer is A. 2 years. During that 2-year grace period, you are not allowed to transmit. T1C 10. How soon after passing the examination for your first amateur radio license may you operate a transmitter on an amateur radio service frequency? A. Immediately. B. 30 days after the test. C. As soon as your operator station license grant appears in the FCC's license database. D. You must wait until you receive your license in the mail from the FCC. The correct answer is C. As soon as your operator station license grant appears in the FCC's license database. Just to hit on something else while we're here, answer D is obviously incorrect because the FCC no longer mails you a license. You can get online and get your official copy, but there is no mailing of licenses from the FCC. That was changed several years ago. T1C 11. If your license has expired and is still within the allowable grace period, may you continue to operate a transmitter on amateur radio service frequencies? A. No, transmitting is not allowed until the FCC license database shows that the license has been renewed. B. Yes, but only if you identify using the suffix GP. C. Yes, but only during authorized nets. Or D. Yes, for up to 2 years. Correct answer is A. No, transmitting is not allowed until the FCC license database shows that the license has been renewed. Alright, going right along. T1D. Authorized and prohibited transmission. Communications with other countries. Music. Exchange of information with other services. Indecent language. Compensation for use of station. Retransmission of other amateur signals. Codes and ciphers. Sale of equipment. Unidentified transmissions. And one-way transmissions. First question. T1D 01. With which countries are FCC licensed amateur radio stations prohibited from exchanging communications? A. Any country whose administration has notified the International Telecommunications Union that it objects to such communications. B. Any country whose administration has notified the Amateur Radio Relay League that it objects to such communications. C. Any country engaged in hostilities with another country. Or D. Any country in violation of the War Powers Act of 1934. Correct answer is A. Any country whose administration has notified the International Telecommunications Union that it objects to such communication. T1D02. Under which of the following circumstances may an amateur radio station make one-way transmissions? A. Under no circumstances. B. When transmitting code practice. information bulletins or transmissions necessary to provide emergency communications. C, at any time as long as no music is transmitted. Or D, at any time as long as the material being transmitted did not originate from a commercial broadcast station. Correct answer is B, when transmitting code practice, information bulletins, or transmissions necessary to provide emergency communications. T1D03. When is it permissible to transmit messages encoded to hide their meaning? A, only during contests. B, only when operating mobile. C, only when transmitting control commands to space stations or radio control craft. D, only when frequencies above 1280 MHz are used. Correct answer is C, only when transmitting control commands to space stations or radio control craft. T1D04. Under what conditions is an amateur station authorized to transmit music using a phone emission? A, when incidental to an authorized retransmission of manned spacecraft communications. B, when the music produces no spurious emissions. C, when the purpose is to interfere with an illegal transmission. Or D, when the music is transmitted above 1280 MHz. Correct answer is A, when incidental to an authorized retransmission of manned spacecraft communication. T1D05. When man-amateur radio operators use their station to notify other amateurs of the availability of equipment for sale or trade. A, when the equipment is normally used in an amateur station and such activity is not conducted on a regular basis. B, when the asking price is $100 or less. C, when the asking price is less than its appraised value. D, when the equipment is not the personal property of either the station licensee or the control operator or their close relative. The correct answer is A, when the equipment is normally used in an amateur station and such activity is not conducted on a regular basis. Question T1D06. What, if any, are the restrictions concerning transmission of language that may be considered indecent or obscene? A, the FCC maintains a list of words that are not permitted to be used on amateur frequencies. B, any such language is prohibited. C, the ITU maintains a list of words that are not permitted to be used on amateur frequencies. D, there is no such prohibition. Correct answer is B, any such language is prohibited. If you believe that it's obscene or indecent, don't use it. Question T1D07. What types of amateur stations can automatically retransmit the signals of other amateur stations? A, auxiliary, beacon, or earth stations. B, repeater, auxiliary, or space stations. C, beacon, repeater, or space stations. Or D, earth, repeater, or space stations. Correct answer is B, repeater, auxiliary, or space stations. Question T1D08. In which of the following circumstances may the control operator of an amateur station receive compensation for operating that station? A, when the communication is related to the sale of amateur equipment by the control operator's employer. B, when the communications is incidental to classroom instruction at an educational institution. C, when the communication is made to obtain emergency information for a local broadcast station. Or D, all of these choices are correct. Correct answer is B, when the communication is incidental to classroom instruction at an educational institution. So basically, if a college class or a high school class is learning about radios, the instructor's teaching ham radio, he's using ham radio, he or she, that is the only way that you're able to be paid. T1D09. Under which of the following circumstances are amateur radio stations allowed to transmit signals related to broadcasting, program production, or news gathering, assuming no other means are available? A, only where such communications directly relate to the immediate safety of human life or protection of property. B, only when broadcasting communications to or from the space shuttle. C, only where non-commercial programming is gathered and supplied exclusively to the National Public Radio Network. Or D, only when using amateur repeaters linked to the internet. Correct answer is A, only where such communications directly relate to the immediate safety of human life or protection of property. T1D10. What is the meaning of the term broadcasting in the FCC rules for the amateur radio service? A, two-way transmissions by amateur stations. B, transmission of music. C, transmission of messages directed only to amateur operators. Or D, transmissions intended for reception by the general public. The meaning of broadcasting in the FCC rules is D, transmissions intended for reception by the general public. T1D 11. When may an amateur station transmit without on-the-air identification? A, when the transmissions are of a brief nature to make station adjustments. B, when the transmissions are unmodulated. C, when the transmitted power level is below 1 watt. Or D, when transmitting signals to control model craft. And the correct answer is D, when transmitting signals to control model craft. There are other regulations such as your transmitting device, your controller, or your model craft has to be labeled with your call sign. T1E now. Control operator and control types. Control operator required. Eligibility. Designation of control operator. Privileges and duties. Control point. Local, automatic, and remote control. Location of the control operator. T1E 01. When is an amateur station permitted to transmit without a control operator? A, when using automatic control, such as in the case of a repeater. B, when the station licensee is away and another licensed amateur is using the station. C, when the transmitting station is an auxiliary station. Or D, never. Correct answer is never. T1E02. Who may be the control operator of a station communicating through an amateur satellite or space station? A, only an amateur extra class operator. B, a general class or higher licensee who has a satellite operator certification. C, only an amateur extra class operator who is also an AMSAT member. D, any amateur whose license privileges allow them to transmit on the satellite uplink frequency. Correct answer is D, any amateur whose license privilege allows them to transmit on the satellite uplink frequency. T1E03. Who must designate the station control operator? A, the station licensee. B, the FCC. C, the frequency coordinator. Or D, the ITU. Correct answer is the station licensee. A. T1E04. What determines the transmitting privileges of an amateur station? A, the frequency authorized by the frequency coordinator. B, the frequencies printed on the license grant. C, the highest class of operator license held by anyone on the premises. D, the class of operator license held by the control operator. Correct answer is D, the class of operator license held by the control operator. T1E05. What is an amateur station control point? A, the location of the station's transmitting antenna. B, the location of the station transmitting apparatus. C, the location at which the control operator function is performed. Or D, the mailing address of the station licensee. Correct answer is C, the location at which the control operator function is performed. T1E06. When, under normal circumstances, may a technician class licensee be the control operator of a station operating in an exclusive amateur extra class operator segment of the amateur bands? A, at no time. B, when operating a special event station. C, as part of a multi-operator contest team. Or D, when using a club station whose trustee is an amateur extra class operator license. Correct answer is at no time. A, at no time. T1E07. When the control operator is not the station licensee, who is responsible for proper operation of the station? A, all licensed amateurs who are present at the operation. B, only the station licensee. C, only the control operator. D, the control operator and the station licensee are equally responsible. Correct answer is D, the control operator and the station licensee are equally responsible. T1E08. Which of the following is an example of automatic control? A. Repeater operation. B. Controlling the station over the internet. C. Using a computer or other device to send CW automatically. D. Using a computer or other device to identify automatically. Correct answer is A. Repeater operation. A repeater operation is considered automatic control. T1E09. Which of the following is true of remote control operation? A. The control operator must be at the control point. B. A control operator is required at all times. C. The control operator indirectly manipulates controls. Or D. All of these choices are correct. Correct answer is D. All of these choices are correct. T1E10. Which of the following is an example of remote control as defined in Part 9.7? A. Repeater operation. B. Operating the station over the internet. C. Controlling a model aircraft, boat, or car by amateur radio. D. All of these choices are correct. Correct answer is B. Operating the station over the internet. T1E11. Who does the FCC presume to be the control operator of an amateur station unless documentation to the contrary is in the station records? A. The station custodian. B. The third-party participant. C. The person operating the station equipment. D. The station licensee. Correct answer is the station licensee. D. Alright, that concludes the second video series, and I also want to remind you that these slides may be used for non-commercial use for amateur radio license preparation and amateur radio classes with reference to the Clay County Area Amateur Radio Club as a developer. Please also reference www.claycountyradio.webs.com. Thank you for joining us.